Ever wondered how a simple sprinkle of cinnamon can turn an ordinary dish into something extraordinary? Beyond its warm, comforting flavor, this ancient spice has a world of benefits and fascinating origins that might surprise you. Humans have used cinnamon for thousands of years, dating back to ancient civilizations. They used it in everything from perfumes to embalming processes. And it wasn't just the Egyptians. Cinnamon was highly prized in many cultures, including the Romans and Greeks, who valued it not just for its flavor, but for its medicinal properties too. In fact, at one point in history, cinnamon was considered more precious than gold. Imagine that. When we talk about cinnamon, we're talking about more than one type. The two most common types you'll find are Ceylon cinnamon, often called true cinnamon, and cassia cinnamon. They might look similar, but they're quite different in terms of flavor and health benefits. Ceylon cinnamon is also considered to be the healthier option between the two because it contains lower levels of a compound called coumarin. Coumarin, in large amounts, can be harmful to your liver, which is something to keep in mind if you're a heavy cinnamon user. On the other hand, cassia cinnamon is what you're probably more familiar with. It's the one you typically find in grocery stores. It has a stronger, more pungent flavor, which is why it's often the go-to choice for cooking and baking. Cassia cinnamon is mainly grown in China, Indonesia, and Vietnam, and while it's more affordable and accessible, it does contain higher levels of coumarin. So, while it's perfectly fine to use in your recipes, it's best enjoyed in moderation. Have you ever wondered how cinnamon goes from being part of a tree to that delicious spice sitting on your kitchen shelf? The process is quite fascinating, and it all starts with a tree that's just as remarkable as the spice it produces. Cinnamon comes from trees belonging to the cinnamomum family, and these trees need a good 2 to 3 years to grow before they're ready for harvest. It's a patient process, but the reward is worth it. Once the trees have matured, it's time for the real magic to happen. The first step in harvesting cinnamon is to cut down the trees. I know that might sound a bit harsh, but don't worry. The trees are resilient, and new shoots will sprout from the stumps, ready to grow and produce more cinnamon in the future. After the tree is cut, the outer bark, which is tough and not very useful, is carefully removed. This reveals the inner bark, which is what we're after. This inner bark is soft, fragrant, and rich in the essential oils that give cinnamon its distinctive flavor and aroma. Farmers then go through the meticulous process of stripping the inner bark from the tree. They do this by making small cuts and peeling the bark away in long strips. As these strips are removed, they naturally start to curl in on themselves. This is due to the circular shape of the tree trunk. It's this curling that gives us those iconic cinnamon sticks you see in stores. But the process doesn't end there. The freshly harvested bark is then left out to dry. As it dries, the strips curl even tighter, forming those familiar quills. The drying process is crucial because it helps to concentrate the flavor and preserve the bark, making it ready for use in kitchens around the world. Cinnamon isn't just grown anywhere. The climate and soil where these trees are cultivated play a huge role in the quality and flavor of the cinnamon. Sri Lanka is famous for producing Ceylon cinnamon, which is known for its delicate, sweet flavor. The tropical climate there, with its perfect balance of heat and humidity, creates the ideal conditions for growing high-quality cinnamon. In other parts of the world, like India, Madagascar, and Brazil, you'll find cassia cinnamon being cultivated. The slightly different growing conditions in these regions, think variations in soil composition, rainfall, and temperature, result in cinnamon that's stronger and more pungent. Do you know why cinnamon is more than just a delicious spice that makes everything from apple pies to lattes taste amazing? It turns out, cinnamon has some pretty impressive health benefits, many of which are backed by science. So, if you need another reason to sprinkle a bit more of this warm spice into your life, here it is. If you're someone who has type 2 diabetes or is pre-diabetic, cinnamon might be your new best friend. Several studies have shown that cinnamon can help lower fasting blood glucose levels, making it easier to manage blood sugar. A 2019 meta-analysis looked at 16 randomized control trials and found that cinnamon reduced fasting blood glucose levels in people with type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes. This doesn't mean cinnamon is a cure-all, but it could certainly be a helpful addition to your diet if you're looking to keep your blood sugar in check. Cinnamon doesn't just stop at regulating blood sugar. It might also help improve insulin sensitivity. Some research suggests that cinnamon can make insulin more efficient, helping your body manage sugar better. This means cinnamon could potentially reduce the risk of developing these metabolic issues. Cinnamon is also good for your heart. It can help improve your cholesterol levels by lowering LDL, the bad cholesterol, and triglycerides. At the same time, cinnamon has been shown to raise HDL, the good cholesterol levels, which help protect your heart. So, adding a dash of cinnamon to your meals isn't just tasty, it might be giving your heart a little extra love, too. Another fascinating aspect of cinnamon is its antimicrobial properties. The spice is rich in a compound called cinnamaldehyde, which is responsible for that signature cinnamon flavor and smell. This means that cinnamon could play a role in keeping your food safe and might even help fight off infections. Speaking of protection, cinnamon might also be good for your brain. There's research suggesting that it could help prevent neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. Cinnamon is also an antioxidant powerhouse. It's packed with polyphenols, which are compounds that help fight off oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. Talking about your gut health, cinnamon has been found to act as a prebiotic, which means it helps promote the growth of beneficial bacteria in your gut. For women, especially those dealing with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, cinnamon could be particularly beneficial. Researchers from Columbia University found that cinnamon might help manage symptoms of PCOS by improving insulin resistance. Cinnamon's benefits even extend to cancer prevention. In 2015, a study on mice found that cinnamaldehyde helped protect cells against exposure to carcinogens, the substances that can cause cancer. The research showed that cinnamon could help with detoxification and the repair process in cells, potentially reducing the risk of colon cancer. Cinnamon has been studied for its ability to prevent tooth decay and bad breath. It works by reducing the number of harmful bacteria in the mouth, including those that cause plaque and cavities. So, not only does cinnamon freshen your breath, but it also helps keep your teeth healthy. So, while cinnamon is pretty amazing and comes with a whole list of health benefits, it's important to remember that too much of a good thing can sometimes be, well, not so good. Here are some of the possible side effects and things to keep in mind when you're adding cinnamon to your daily routine. First off, figuring out the right amount of cinnamon to consume can be a bit tricky. You see, cinnamon comes in different forms. There's the cinnamon stick, the ground powder you sprinkle on your oatmeal, and even cinnamon supplements. On top of that, there are different types of cinnamon, like Ceylon and Cassia, and each one has its composition and effects on the body. This makes it hard to pin down exactly how much cinnamon you should be consuming to reap the benefits without overdoing it. Further talking about Cassia cinnamon, which is the type most of us have in our spice racks. Cassia cinnamon is affordable, easy to find, and has that strong, bold flavor we love. But here's the catch. It contains a compound called coumarin, which, in large amounts, can be harmful. Coumarin can have blood-thinning effects, which means it could interact with medications like blood thinners and cause issues with blood clotting. This doesn't mean you need to toss out your cinnamon, but it's a good idea to keep an eye on how much you're using, especially if you're taking it in supplement form. For those of us who love to sprinkle cinnamon on everything, this is a reminder to enjoy it in moderation. Stick to using cinnamon in foods where you're less likely to consume it in amounts that could be problematic. If you're considering cinnamon supplements, it's a good idea to talk to a healthcare provider first, just to be on the safe side. Another thing to keep in mind is that, like any food or spice, cinnamon can be an allergen for some people. While it's not super common, cinnamon allergies do exist, and they can cause reactions ranging from mild irritation to more serious symptoms like hives or difficulty breathing. So, what benefits will you be using cinnamon for? Let us know in the comments below.